This is my first video on YouTube, and I have always been a fan of whispering videos, and before that I was actually a fan of typing videos. Before that I used to always think, or wonder what this noise was that I was hearing that would make me feel so relaxed and just really, really sleepy. And I remember going back even to first or second grade. We were having, I guess, nap time. It's nice. And I just a side thought, I wish we could still have nap time as adults. But yeah, anyways, I remember having that nap time, and I think the teacher had turned on a record or a record player or something like that, and I remember the sound of the crackling of the record, and it just, gosh, I was out like a light. So I remember even just going to doctor's offices and hearing the sound of the typing on the keyboard, and just, it was awesome. So here we are today, and I have finally figured out through some research within the past year that this little guy would be called ASMR. And so anyways, I am such a big fan of everybody out there. Kiwi Whispers is awesome. Makes me on 13. You're my new favorite, so that's a shout out there. But I wanted to get back to the community, and hopefully somebody would benefit from this the same way that I have. So, been trying to figure out something to read for my first video, because I don't really have any ideas of what sounds to make or anything like that. Maybe a typing video eventually, but I'm an audio engineering guy, so I figured I could probably, if I could find something on that, it might be the most boring thing that anybody's ever heard, and hopefully put them to sleep. So, going to be reading Advanced Compression Techniques Part 1. So, anyways, here we go. Compression is a subject that has been covered on numerous occasions in past issues of Sound on Sound, but it is worth revisiting, both because of the importance of compression in contemporary music production, and because many people are unsure as to the best way to use their compressors. However, in order to avoid retreading old ground, I'll only be giving a very quick overview of the principles of compression before moving on to some of the more advanced concepts. If you'd like a more in-depth discussion of basic compression, then refer back to my article on compression in SOS April 1997. Most of you probably know that a compressor is a device for automatically controlling the level of an audio signal. More specifically, a compressor turns down the audio when the level exceeds a threshold set by the user. The amount by which the gain is turned down depends on the ratio of the compressor. For example, if a ratio of 5 to 1 is set, an input signal exceeding the threshold by 5 decibels will be output with a level of only 1 decibel over the threshold. control is simply used to restore the peak level of the compressed output signal to that of the uncompressed input signal. In effect, this means that compression makes low-level signals louder if the peak levels return to its former value. The last concept to explore before moving on to the more advanced stuff is that of the knee. A basic compressor does nothing to the input signal until it reaches the threshold. Then the full amount of gain reduction is applied as fast as the time will let it. This is good for assertive level control, but can be a little too obvious when a lot of compression is being applied to critical sounds within a mix, or to complete mixes for that matter. A gentler sounding compression can be achieved by using a so-called soft knee compressor, where the compression ratio increases gradually as the signal approaches the threshold. Once the signal passes the threshold, the full ratio is set by the user is applied. But because some compression is applied to the signals approaching the threshold, the transition from no gain reduction to full gain reduction is far smoother. So if soft knee compressors are so smooth and cuddly, why don't we use them all the time? Firstly, it's sometimes nice to use compression as an effect, in which case a fairly hard compression tends to work best. A little deliberate gain pumping can give the impression of loudness, and hard knee compressors pump more readily than soft knee types. The second reason is that at higher ratio settings, the hard knee compressor provides firmer gain control, so if a signal is varying in level to an excessive degree, a soft knee compressor might not produce the required degree of leveling. The choice of which to use has to be made by ear, especially